Hey Berto, Jacob here, just doing a little video outlining my concerns for the contest prep ahead and some of the things I just wanted to let you know that I feel may become an issue down the track in allowing me to reach my potential this contest prep, and could be something that will hold me back, make things a bit more difficult. So the first one is last year I suffered some pretty bad stress to the point where I went and saw a psychologist. So much of this was related to work and just life in general, just things getting tough, not really knowing how to balance the whole, coach, business, dad, husband thing. And it got a little bit too much. And my concern with this in the contest prep is that something's got to give, right? And I'm not sure how well I'm going to be able to cope with everything when the going really starts to get tough. And I guess it's not something that I'm excusing or that I want to be, a reason for me to be mediocre, but I wanted you to know that this is something that, I have been dealing with. I've gotten a lot better over the past probably 3 months, so things are moving in the right direction. But I just want you to know that, the stress of, what I do day to day can become quite arduous, and I really wanted to, get that off my chest and let you know so that, I guess you can be there to guide me and make sure that, I'm keeping my shit together and not, letting things get to me or my head, and just keep things in perspective. The other thing that I wanted to let you know is that my fear in the contest prep is that I'm going to, struggle to balance the relationships and, specifically my partner, Siobhan. And as you know, everything that goes on and is a consequence of natural bodybuilding and semi-starvation, I've worded her up and let her know that, these are the things that she can expect, the mood swings, the lack of socializing and connection that, is experienced when, you have to just survive. So she's well aware. I've talked to her quite a bit about it, but my fear is that it could be potentially damaging to the relationship, and that's the last thing that I want to happen. So yeah, it's something that I'm really going to focus on. It's one of my goals this contest prep is to lose it without losing everything around me. So I don't just want to get on stage and look great and have nothing and no one there at the end of it. I want to, do this in a manner that's as quote unquote balanced as possible for as long as possible. I know that there's going to be a point where, you have to sacrifice and give up balance to get it done. But that's my fear, and I really want to, keep that at the forefront of our objectives this contest prep. And lastly, previous contest preps have been really tough for me in terms of the whole body image and eating disorders, so to speak. When I say eating disorders, disordered eating. So I want to ensure that this time my focus is far less on my body and just letting you be the one that guides me, as opposed to me letting that dictate my happiness. And in regards to the eating, I don't want to become overly fixated and have this obsession with food that is just nagging from start to finish. I know that the food focus will be there towards the end, but it's something that I have suffered with in the past, and I'm very aware that it's gonna rear its ugly head at some stage. So I just wanted to let you know that, because I'm sure on the surface everything seems just dandy with me, but there was a time, this is back in 2013, 2012, so long time ago. I think I've matured quite a lot since then. Well, I hope I have, and I've really worked hard at sorting that aspect of my fitness endeavors out. But I do know that it will make things difficult at some point, and I really want to make sure that in this process it's not going to come back in the way that it did, or potentially be an issue that I have to deal with for too long after the prep. And I think it's going to be something that we'll have to address later down the track, but for now it should be good. Everything's pretty fine on my end in relation to that. But yeah, man, I just wanted to do this video because writing it would seem a little bit disingenuous, I guess, and could come across as a little bit bitchy, it seemed like I'm moaning. So I just wanted to, put it out there. I'm ready. I'm not in any way, shape or form reconsidering my decision to do the prep. I'm 100% in. We're seeing this through. We're getting on stage. It's happening. But I just want you to know that these are the three things that have been an issue for me in the past, could potentially be an issue moving forward, and I want to make sure that the approach that we take, and that you as my coach are aware of these things, to guide me in the best manner possible. And yeah, man, I'm super excited. Can't wait to get into things, and look forward to working with you throughout the next 9 months, and hopefully bringing something pretty impressive to the stage. Put the budgie smugglers on, lots of tan and all the rest of it. So I'll speak to you soon, man. Take care. Bye. I am that actually was a huge relief to hear, and let me tell you why. Based on our limited interactions in person, plenty over things like this, although this kind of changes things. This is definitely in person. I've definitely have taken the time to just survey all the things that you do have going on. You are a family man, a partner to Siobhan. You have two beautiful kids, a flourishing business, a brick and mortar business that's doing really well, and then on top of that, you're also a presence in the fitness industry, not just there on the block, but globally. So having all this going on, I've definitely thought to myself, man, how is this guy as cool as the other side of the pillow, right? And well, there it goes, right? And I think if it makes you feel better, I'd say that the majority of people who are out there getting theirs, they kind of feel the same way, where there's just too much going on. And I will say that to a certain extent, maybe not early on, but the way you prioritize certain things might have to change somewhat. I know that for me it did during this last prep, and it doesn't mean the whole way, but there will be a point, and this, where perhaps certain things with the in-person business, you might have to rely on others a bit more. And I think what really helps, and this was probably the biggest lesson for me during this prep, was to go ahead and allow yourself to rely on others a little bit, and not just when it comes to tasks, but also when it comes to emotional support. I think it's very common, especially for men, to not be able to again discuss certain things that they might be feeling. Whereas with women, you will see that they have an easier time getting together and being there for each other, and they feel like they have the room to express these thoughts. So in your case, that is something that, again, I would recommend. I think you took a huge step in getting help when it comes to that. I think it's one of the healthiest things you can do. Very taboo, right? To
go do that. And that's exactly how it would be mentioned. Like, you're gonna go do that, but it's no different than like, hey, if a knee's bugging you, you're gonna go see a PT. They're gonna help you out, and as you push through it and get better, people applaud you. But when it comes to being overwhelmed and perhaps not all the way healthy up here, it's the exact opposite, man. It's like people are, how do I say, yeah, people almost like it's contagious almost, and they kind of take a step back. So no, like I'm glad that you're familiar with that, and that like if you ever need it, it's there. And I would encourage you to a certain extent, definitely make opening up to others something that if you don't do, like get comfortable with. It's good being a feeling man, and then of course I'm already very confident in regards to our dynamic based off this video response here. So yeah, no, everything you mentioned. Again, it's something that you have to be there to kind of really understand what it's like. I would say that one of my measures when it comes to what is successful prep is, of course, keeping track of all the stuff like outside of the prep, right? Keeping up with everything else, but then also being able to make it less invasive physically and mentally. And I'd say that with every prep, from my first prep where I actually got lean enough that I had those symptoms, every prep after that one has been significantly better because I've made that a priority. And it's odd because I think a lot of those ambitious bodybuilders would hear, some of them would definitely hear you say that, and they're like, but man, at the cost of the final product. But I have found it to be the exact opposite. When you get those things in order and you are leaving less dense physically and mentally, the final product itself tends to be better. We can push harder, and pushing harder doesn't leave us looking as beat up, and things just plain and simply work better. Everything works better: the training, the nutritional adjustments, how predictable we are. So no, all that stuff is very important to me. I'm glad it's very important to you. I'm glad that you have a mindset of like, this is my chance to a certain extent, like definitely put your brand on the map, put you as an athlete and as a coach on the map. So daddy's got to go out there and make the bread, but at the same time, you also want to make this healthy, because you are very important to a whole lot of people, and you want to keep that you want to keep that going, and you want to keep doing that job at a very, very, very high level. So all things are super clear. Again, I will do my best. And I guess if there was one fear on my end, is that sometimes when you do have someone who does this themselves, who is quite knowledgeable, who has a lot of experience, sometimes like in my mind, it's like, man, sometimes they kind of get in your way and they don't let you do your magic, do your work. But I think with you, it's going to be the exact opposite, because first of all, I think you've experienced that for sure at some point. But then also because you are, I'm sure you can prep yourself, but at the same time, you're interested in milking that extra 5% and having someone who you trust, who you trust their skills and what they can do for you specifically. Having that helps, but at the same time, it's also kind of outsourcing things so you don't have to worry about. It's like getting a guy to do this or getting a guy to do that. And I'm sure as a business owner, you I think now really for sure understand how outsourcing helps. And yeah, just having a team around you whose talents, they sometimes they will. In this case, that's not necessarily the case, but sometimes they will, supplement something that you necessarily don't do too well. And not that you don't do this well, but there will be segments where potentially, given how deep we are into the prep and you know how that goes, you might not be in a position where you can do your best work on yourself. So no, loud and clear, I got you, dude. I will work very, very hard for you, because I know you will work very, very hard during this prep, and just in general, you work very, very hard across the board. And And again, I wanted to, you know, stay that way for you as long as possible. And again, like that includes the methods we use to get there, but then also being aware of all stuff that has to do with both physical and mental health. So with that said, I will leave it here. This will be your program will probably get there before your nutritional instructions will get there before this gets there, because this takes a while to upload. But dude, be a big year. Here I am passing the baton off to you. You go do your thing. I got mine in. I'm still shell shocked, but I'm happy to live vicariously through you. So yeah. Much love to you and the whole fam out there, the fam and the JPS fam. And yeah, man, let's get to work.